Hello everybody. Sorry I had to delete my last video. I didn't turn my notifications off. That's becoming a problem. I'm getting hit with, wow, every day I always get probably a few hundred messages. When I get a chance to go through them, I look at the majority of everybody's focus. So I'm going to hit this because it's a big deal as of the last 12, 14 hours to a lot of people who follow me or just people who message me, and it's a Canadian thing, and it does come up on my posts as well too. So I'm going to hit this one right now, and it's this idea that people want to see justice for Canadian politicians. Specifically, a lot of people pointing and posting that Justin Trudeau, they want to see justice, they want to see him charged with high treason, or that somehow he's going to be arrested for all the things he's doing. And I really hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but if you haven't been following me, here's the reality. All Canadians, Albertans, really any provincial province of status or territory, both levels, Canadian, provincial, or territorial. In our system, we have what you hear Her Majesty or the Crown. You hear of Governor General, Lieutenant Governor. You've heard Order in Council. You hear Privy Council. There is absolutely no Crown authority from the UK, British Crown authority, inside Canada. Not since 1948. Officially in Canada, because it took a few years, and the King administered this after the war. I've gone into this in great detail. The crown that exists now is absolutely whoever your Prime Minister-elect is in Canada. And each province elects a premier. That premier gets to use that power too, or circumvent and go right back to the Prime Minister, okay? That's how Canada has worked since absolutely 1952. The last Governor General appointed by Our Majesty or the Crown from UK was under the King, and that was the last one up until 1952. Upon the end of that Governor General's reign, from that point on, every Governor General did not go through British Crown or anything to do with our Queen. Queen Elizabeth has had nothing to do with Canadian politics since 1952. Okay, well, the King, but now Elizabeth going forward, absolutely nothing to do with Canadian politics. Now, sure, she's come for visits. Sure, there's been some ceremonial stuff over the years, but absolutely everybody understand your Crown authority is Justin Trudeau or, like the province of Alberta, Jason Kenney. But he's very limited. Whenever politicians in Canada do not want to work in a democratic way, they utilize that Crown power that has been taken away absolutely by the United Nations since 1948. Officially in Canada since 1952, because people had to wait out their terms under the Crown until it was time to be appointed again according to our Constitution. At that point, all Crown power was basically bestowed upon whoever you elect as Prime Minister in Canada. So whenever they don't want to do anything democratic or they don't want any accountability, they utilize the 1867 Constitution, re-ratified here through amendments in 1982, and some of the Supreme Court, but they have absolutely left in that Crown authority, giving them basically the power of being king or queen if a woman was elected, king or queen over all Canadians. It's wrong. We know the Constitution should be changed, but no party elected to power elects to ever give up that power. The power of order in council is basically the power to make all kinds of laws and not have MPs have to answer to their constituents, okay? This is the same thing that Jason Kenney, who was a federal minister, who's now a premier, who learned all of this as a federal minister, a member of the Privy Council, is able to bang through all of these bills in Alberta legislature and not have to put any MLA's names on them. How he does that? He places all the crown power in all the bills. This is what I'm taking to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, Boris Johnson and UK Parliament, as well as the binding 5 UN SC members. All 5 of them are going to get that registered letter from all of you who've joined in that email. And I'm still working on that. I want to make sure I crack 200. I'm sorry. As you can all see, my Facebook has literally taken off. I have a tremendous amount of Americans coming on board, and it's a very good thing for Alberta. I've always been a successionist. Many of you know that. This is something I have to pursue right now, along with what I'm doing. And yes, it is slowing me down. I'm not going to be answering anybody's phone calls. So if you message me or Messenger, you try to phone me on Messenger, I'm absolutely not going to answer you. Facebook has given me the ability to answer comments, but I don't know what my limits are there. I think from what I saw today, they're only allowing me about 40 responses in a sitting, I guess. If I go over that, I don't know what that time frame is. It was over about an hour. I answered 40 comments, and they took that away from me, said I've abused what I can do. Also, so everybody knows, now when I do my last 2 videos, this last one, and now when I just did the one that I just deleted, there's a whole bunch of Facebook questions put on me now when I do a live. They ask me a whole bunch of questions and how my video is going to go out, what I'm going to be allowed to do with that. So I guess I'm going to look at that, post this video, and see what kind of new rules Facebook has placed on me. I don't know. But I'm going to continue to do this stuff. I'm going to continue to share the truth. Maybe Facebook's just going through some things with me. I don't know. Maybe it's government stuff where governments are complaining. But as long as I'm not lying to you, I don't see why Facebook should be restricting me. It's what I do and what I'm always going to do. I really hope I continue to grow, and I hope that I get more followers and more friends so we can get these educations out. Really, that's all I want to do, is see things become a better place, the world become a better place for my 2 little girls, so that so many like myself who are struggling through these dangerous times, dealing with things we all don't understand, but we're going to figure it out together, and I'm going to make sure to try and educate just as many of you. This is the Canadian system. This video, this presentation I give you, by Justin Trudeau or Stephen Harper and the many prime ministers before him, every mainstream party goes for this crown power. You're all manipulated into believing that somehow you're a part of a democracy, but clearly that's not the case. It wasn't the case with the gun bills. It wasn't the case with our C-48, C-71, or right now our Elections Act that just gets done. And guess what? There's no list of which Privy Council members wrote out those bills. Sure, you'll see it get voted on, but you're not going to know who was the author of it, whether they've been elected or not elected, or are from a Liberal Party of way old, or maybe someone you don't even like that you threw out of office, or Conservatives or whatever. We're never going to know. That's this crown power being abused, literally abused in Canada by all of our parties. Conservatives want it, Liberals want it, NDP wants it. They don't care nothing about you. We're seeing it in the provinces. We're seeing Jason Kenney exploit it for everything it is worth. Rachel Notley will likely do this too. If she didn't, I've gone back to look at some of her bills. Bill 24, which personally affected me. If any of you haven't looked at my media publications with media, Grandin and the Catholic Church can go look at that with my daughter and my stand on that. It was totally used against me, but it was reality for me and my family. And when we get into world binding laws, the law of the family is the overriding law. But our Canadian politicians sure love to get into this corruption of the UN. They love the corruption of the crown, when clearly all of you, and they know this, think that we're talking about the Queen of England, because that's the language that's in our Constitution, because our Constitution was formed in 1867 when we had the League of Nations. Now, our Constitution absolutely has to be upgraded. There's no doubt about it. I would say it has to be dismembered, massive portions of it. But the way the Constitution in Canada is set up, it is almost virtually impossible to get those kind of amendments done. Now, I think that most provinces and a good portion of the population, if they knew that when you elect a prime minister, they're using the Constitution to steal the crown authority, to basically have the power of a king or a queen, you would all absolutely, if you shared this out, got this video out, we could absolutely change the entire Constitution. I don't think there's a Canadian alive that if they knew that when you elect a prime minister, they get the power of that crown, and they don't have to be democratic or operate in any parliamentary system, and they haven't for a very long time. Whenever it's messy or inconvenient or it creates division among the people and you may not get elected again, it's a nice way to say, sit this one out, MPs. Don't worry. We're just going to blame it on the Queen. We're going to make it look like it's a crown power when really it's just your Prime Minister taking a crown power, putting a crown on his head and saying, I'm the King of Canada. I'll decide who's going to be the legislator, not you, the people who elected my MPs or the opposition MPs, or like right now what we have with such a split that realistically the Liberals don't even have a majority. So he's just exploiting that crown power just as much as he can to protect his MPs as much as he can, and all the things Canadians don't like. And if you think this is only Justin Trudeau, even though currently he's one of the worst prime ministers we've ever seen in a long time, especially out west, but Stephen Harper did it too. How do you think he got his bill to allow communist China to move right into Canada? How do you think he did that? Guess what? Order in council. That's right. They all do it. They're all scumbags. They've all put that crown on their head. They've all looked you square in the eyes and lied their faces off to all of you. Like I said, we have Jason Kenney, who's put that power in every single bill that he's been just ripping out during COVID. And you poor fools are none the wiser. But you are now because you've watched my video. I ask you, please share it out. Be scared or don't share it, whatever. But you're the problem that's with Canada if you don't share this out, if you don't get it out there. And realistically, I'm sure by the end of next week, my email is going to be out and it's going to go forward regardless, and it's going to hit that UNSC binding 5. If nothing else, these brave 200 Albertans are going to make sure to pull Justin Trudeau and every prime minister's pants down that's ever been since 1952 and embarrass them on the world stage. And I promise you, as I rip through those 193 nations, it will have a dramatic impact on Canada going forward on the world stage. You have a chance right now. Share the video. Get the message out there. This is 100% absolutely truthful and reality. Justin Trudeau will never be held accountable. No politician will be, not federally, provincially, or territorially, because of this power, this usurped power of the crown, a major problem with our Constitution since 1948. And not one party that's ever gotten power, provincially, federally, or territorially, has ever even tried to remove it, because they embrace it. They love the pure autocracy. This is why I left politics. It's what I learned when I formed my party as an average Albertan for the first time in history. An average, basically third-class citizen. Never been done, let alone run for a position like Premier, let alone Prime Minister, but Premier is still good enough. To learn all these things, to have that power inside that Elections Alberta, which is the same power in Elections Canada, to be able to sit there as an average citizen and go through all of it for all of you. I lived it, I learned it, and now I'm giving it to you. And this is the truth. Share it out. Thanks. Have a great night, everybody.